So, welcome, JONJO. Thank you for coming on to the NUFC360 Podcast. Firstly, we'll just ask you how you're doing.
Yeah, not too bad. Just battling away, surviving. That's all you can do in life, really.
Now, obviously, you'd mentioned off camera that obviously you're suffering from a hamstring strain. Are you just hopeful of getting back that sort of tune and then getting yourself back on the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just continuing to do my rehab. Um, Obviously, it's never nice being injured, but seems to obviously as you get older, you do pick up a little bit more than what you did when you was younger. But yeah, it's just a matter of getting myself fit and waiting for an option.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you started your career at Charlton. What was it like? So, what got you into football? What was the passion for you in that, and what was it like?
My dad really. My dad is a coach, so I'd played football from a young age, and used to be at West Ham, Arsenal as a kid. And my older brother played football at West Ham, but then he left, so I left. Had a year out, went into Cheltenham when I was 12, and then ended up making my debut at 16. But my dad was probably the main reason of why I played football. And obviously, I remember I used to drive past an Aston Martin garage every morning going to school. I used to say to my mum that one day I'm going to go in there and buy one, and I've still not done it.
There's still time. Now, obviously, after Charlton, you had the move to Liverpool. Now, that must have been like quite a lot to contend with. Obviously, moving from Charlton to like, one of the most historic names in English football, and that what was that move to Liverpool like?
It was unbelievable. I mean, I think I was 17 at the time, so I'd only had a year of playing in Charlton's first team. But yeah, I got called in by the chairman of Charlton at the time, and he just said, "Who's your favourite player?" So then I said Steven Gerrard, and he said, "Well, you're going to be playing with him next season." I was a bit like, "Well," and then so I finished the season at Charlton, and went to Liverpool in the summer. But it was a big thing in terms of looking back at it now. I was 17, moving away from home. Um, my mum would come and live with me for 4 days of the week, and then my dad would do the other 3 days of the week until I was of an age where I could live by myself. But yeah, it was a surreal experience.
So, in your mind, what the first time that obviously you stepped onto the pitch and you were playing alongside your idol and Steven Gerrard, what was that feeling for you?
It was just unbelievable. I mean, even like walking into the training ground the first time and you see them, you see all the stars. I mean, when first walked in, there was like the likes of Mascherano, uh, Torres, and people like that. So it was just massive. And then you eventually get to share the pitch with them, and it's just an immense feeling.
Sorry, for those who maybe not on the camera, you can probably see that rain that's coming down even heavier now. Thankfully, we're undercover. So obviously, you had your time at Liverpool. That then ended, and you ended up going probably. We can class it as a move abroad because it was to Wales, such a
Yeah.
different country, and you went to Swansea. And was that under Brendan Rodgers?
No,
No.
it was under Michael Laudrup who signed me. Um, I mean, I think I was still relatively young. I think I was 20, 21 at the time. But I'd had that experience of playing at Charlton, and then I went on loan to Blackpool from Liverpool under Ian Holloway, and you're playing again. And then the thing is, what happened at Liverpool was like you'd play, do well, and then someone with a bigger name or whatever or more stature would come back from injury, and then you'd find yourself out of the team again. So I felt like I wanted to go and play football at the end of the day, and so that's why I moved to Swansea. And I had a great time at Swansea, to be honest. It's probably where I established myself as a Premier League footballer. And I went there and we was in Europe because I'd just won the Carling Cup the previous year and had a really good time playing under Michael Laudrup. He was a great manager for me. Yeah, I enjoyed my time down there, and my oldest daughter was actually born in Wales. So I mean, I'd still give her a little bit of stick for that, but no, it was a good move for me at the time. Looking back at it, could I have stayed at Liverpool and sort of just buckled down and been a bit part player? Who knows? But I don't think you can have regrets in life, and at the time, I felt like it was the right decision for me.
Obviously, you mentioned that your little girl was born there. I hope you didn't call her Nessa.
No, 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 no. I do love Gavin and Stacey, but I didn't call her Nessa.
Oh, see, if it was a boy, you could have called him Bryn. Now, obviously, from Swansea, you had your move up to the stadium that obviously is behind you. Obviously, with Steve McLaren, that brought you in, and obviously during that season, he'd also brought in players like Ronaldo and that. Yeah. What was there ever a thought like when Newcastle came in? Was it what like when they came in? What was your
I remember playing a FA Cup game for Swansea, and I knew the night before that I was going to Newcastle the day after. And I literally went back from the FA Cup game and packed up my house into my car with my wife and my she was a 1 year old at the time, and we drove through the night from Swansea to come to Newcastle because Newcastle were playing Man United that evening, and I was doing the medical in the day, and I remember going to the game and just obviously I'd played at Newcastle before against Newcastle, but as soon as they come in for me, I knew that I wanted to go in terms of the size of the club and the stature of the stadium and everything about it. Just, I mean, I didn't know too much about the city, but it was a no-brainer move for me, and luckily I did make that move. So I've enjoyed it was eight years here, and that was fantastic.
now? Obviously, you said you didn't know much about the city. Yeah, did you know much about the fan base, or is that
Not really, only because we every time I'd come and played against Newcastle, we'd normally done relatively well. So it's
don't
sort
rub
of
it in?
it's sort of like, I mean, the first thing I look for when you go to a stadium like this against a team like this is you try and quieten the crowd within the first 20 minutes and take the storm out of the game, if you like. And every time I did that, every time we did that when we played here. So yeah, it was. But I knew that if they'd gone 1-0 up early doors, then this fan base was just immense, and it could really be daunting as an away player to come to.
So, as a home player, what was it? What was the feeling like playing for the fan base?
I mean, I remember my first game against West Ham, and obviously I grew up being a West Ham fan because obviously that's where I'm from, down that way. And I mean, we won the game 2-1, and the atmosphere was
I
incredible.
think you scored as well in that game.
No, I didn't score. I don't score much. But
I'm sure there was one West Ham game you scored in.
yeah, that was during COVID. But yeah, I mean, that day was just mad. I mean, it was my mum's birthday that day, and she was throwing a party back in Essex. But I didn't end up going. I ended up going for a Chinese after the game in town, and I walked into the restaurant, and it was just full of Newcastle fans, just singing your name and shouting your name, and it was I just felt like straight at home, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
I think it obviously speaks volumes for the city and the people that are up here. That, I mean, I left the club 3-4 years ago now, and I mean, I'm still here, still floating about the city. Kids love it, family love it, and it's just a great place to be. And I think it's a great place to bring your children up as well.
Yeah. Well, it's something that obviously Bruno, yeah, you can see with Bruno, because obviously he loves it. Yeah, his two kids were born here, so yeah, we've got Brazilian Geordies now, and Sandro's going to be next. I think I think Eddie's just trying to breed a new squad of old Geordie players.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long way to go for Bruno to back to Brazil just to have a baby. I mean, but yeah, you can see it on the pitch with especially Bruno in terms of his passion and how much the club means to him. I think that's what it just does something to you. I mean, there's not a lot of people that I know that ex-players or whatever you have moved up and not stayed up here. To be honest with you, it's just a great place to live. And I mean, I do get people like I walk around the local supermarket and people have to like double take and look at me and as to say like, what are you still doing here? Like you left 4 years ago, 3 years ago. It's like my family are here. They love it, and we probably will stay here till the day we pass. But yeah, just think I don't know what it is. It just does something to you, and I mean I've actually not been back to watch a game because obviously I've been abroad and playing football abroad and been away. But I've watched the games on TV as much as I possibly can and speak to some of the lads, and it just seems like a great place to be, even better than what it was when I was there.
I'm guessing a few texts have went to people who you know in Newcastle, see if you can get a ticket for next Thursday against Barcelona.
I probably could, but I mean, if there's a game on TV, then I'll sit and watch it in TV because when I actually like to sit and watch football, I like to sit and watch football and concentrate on watching football. I like studying the game, so I'll do that. I mean, I didn't even go to the final. I remember the final against Man U. I ended up giving my tickets away because I still had my box at the stadium, so you obviously get the tickets included within your box, and I ended up giving my tickets away because I just prefer to watch football in peace and quiet and concentrate. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, if you want to study the games, it's better doing it that way. And obviously, during your time at Newcastle, you played with many players and obviously through a few managers. Is there any players that you really like was your friendship group?
Yeah, I mean, my best mate in football is probably Jack Colback. I mean, I know that obviously he played for Sunderland, and I mean when he played for Sunderland, me and him actually had a massive scrap on the pitch, and then I come into Newcastle's training ground the first day, and my dad was with me, and my dad said to Jack as I shook his hand, like, "Oh, you two are normally kicking lumps out of each other," and then ever since then we've been best mates. We speak more or less every week, and so yeah, my best mate in football is probably Jack. And in terms of playing in midfield I love playing with Jack, and I love playing with Mose as well. And for me, my probably best year and a half was the year probably being in the championship with Dwighty in terms of the link up we had, and then the back 6 months of the year we got promoted, like the year after we got promoted in the Premier League, I felt that was probably the best I've felt in terms of myself physically and mentally, and really enjoyed it.
Yeah. One thing which I was just gonna to bring a point on is obviously you were still involved in I think it was the Southampton game which we lost under Rafa. and Jamal Lascelles came out with that impassioned speech. Was that something that the players were aware of, or was it a surprise?
If I'm going to be honest, I can't even remember back that far back. I know that I think at stadiums you have to walk through like a mixed zone or whatever you like, and obviously Jams just pulled over and said something to the media, and probably rightly so. And it's probably didn't work because we ended up getting relegated that year. But I think the club was going through tough time back then, and it was probably the best thing that probably happened to us as a group of players in terms of getting relegated, because there was a lot of people that, I mean, when I first joined, it was very cliquey in the dressing room in terms of you had your French lads, and then you had the English lads, and etc. etc. And I think that when we got relegated, we sort of come together, and I mean the spirit and camaraderie we had in that championship year was I personally believe what stood us so well for when we went back up into the Premier League and we achieved mid-table table finishes, which I know is not unbelievable and not great, but it sort of give us like a platform for, if you like, now that the club is still in the Premier League and at the higher end of the Premier League, if you like.
Yeah, obviously, for a club that's just come up there, the one thing that you want to do is survive. So mid-table is, it's a very good thing. Now, so you mentioned obviously the relegation. That game against Spurs, when obviously we're already relegated, was that probably one of the strangest atmospheres that you'd been in? Like, you knew you were relegated, but there was sort of like a celebratory,
Yeah, I mean,
sort of like.
I didn't play in the last 3 or 4 games. Rafa took me out of the team, and I remember we got relegated against, I think it might have been Aston Villa away, and it was just, I mean, I'd not been relegated from the Premier League, so it was new to me, and it was just like a numb feeling. And then you go into the game against Tottenham, and I don't know whether it felt like the pressure was off or the shackles were off. I mean, I didn't play in the last game. I come on as a substitute, but I think it was just a matter of Rafa had only been in charge for a short period, so it was a matter of go away this summer, come back fresh, ready to get the club back where it belongs.
Obviously, you mentioned that season in the Championship. That involved a Serbian striker who did seem a bit nuts. Exactly how mad was Alexander Mitrovic?
Yeah, he was. I just think he just wanted to win. And for me, I'd take 11 people that want to win all day long. He was just passionate, hated it when he wasn't playing. Could score a goal. I don't think that's one thing you could knock. I think he was very, very young still when he was here, and to be the centre forward of Newcastle at a young age with that much pressure, then it is a big thing. But yeah, he was mad, but I just put it down to him wanting to win so much and caring. So I think that's where sometimes he probably boiled over. But if you don't want to, if every time you go out there and you don't want to win, then what's the point of being a footballer?
Now, obviously, you stayed. Obviously, you had Rafa, and then obviously Steve Bruce came in. When he signed Joelinton, did you ever have an idea that he would turn into the player that he is now?
No, not at all. I mean, when we looked like we was going to sign him, I didn't really know too much about him, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't watch a lot of German football, but I thought he would just, for me personally, I thought it'd be someone that I can just get the ball, put a ball over the top, and he'd run on and score a goal. Because obviously that's what I'd been used to with Dwighty. But he sort of played on the left, played up the front, and I don't know. It looked like every time he'd get in the penalty box, he would. I mean, he probably. I don't think he'd mind me saying it that he looked like he'd get a nosebleed every time he got in the penalty box. But and I remember the game where the Norwich game at home when Eddie come in and Clarkey got sent off and it forced Joey to come back into midfield, and I was like, because it's not natural for a centre forward to come and play in centre midfield. It's a very hard thing to do if people don't know that role in the game. And he just took it to like a duck to water. I mean, he's such a brute. He's such a powerhouse. I mean, he's just so strong. And I mean, I remember when I went to Forest and we was playing Newcastle, and I think he was suspended. And I was glad he was suspended because I didn't want to go for a shoulder barge with him. I'd have to 2-foot him.
Now, obviously, you've had like all that experience, and you've went through all that. Is there a game that stands out as like the best game that you played in for Newcastle?
The most memorable game would probably be for me, the scoring the 2 goals at QPR away in the Championship and the Man City game in the last minute. In terms of my best performance, it wasn't a full game. There was 2. The second half when we played Watford away, and the first half when we played Southampton away. One was under Rafa against Watford, and one was under Steve Bruce against Southampton away. And I think it was a day that Maxi scored, and we won 1-0, if I correctly. I think they're the 2 in terms of best. I mean, the Championship, I feel like I played very well every week. I mean, probably that's the one thing that's let me down in the past is consistency in performances week in, week out. So yeah, I'd say them 2 games.
Yeah, I think if I'm trying to think back, the QPR game was either 6-0 or 6-1, and but I remember that one there. I would say probably one of the games that I remember up here was the 4-3 game against Norwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-1 down.
I mean, I was actually, when I was driving here today, I was actually thinking if you asked the question of the best pass that I've ever made, that probably doesn't get enough recognition, was the pass against Norwich for Dwight's goal. It was probably the best pass that I've ever made in my career. And that night was just such a great night because obviously winning it in the last minute, and they was one of the favourites to go up that year as well. So yeah, it was a great night.
Well, I think the Newcastle fan base would say thank you for that pass because that helped us get the game going. Now, I'm going to ask a different question on this one, which is obviously since you've left, and obviously there's been many games under Eddie Howe. Is there a game that under Eddie Howe that Newcastle have played that you just went, I would love to have been involved in that?
Yeah, I remember being in Turkey, and I lived in the training ground for 3 months in Turkey, and the first club I went to, and so I was the only English lad there. It was a lot of the Turkish lads who who didn't speak English was all sitting down in like the main lobby watching the Champions League football and the PSG game here. I remember watching that, thinking, and all thinking, oh, it's just amazing. And even like the Turkish coaches and that just said to me is like, that's like mad. And Turkish football's mental anyway in general with the fans, but they couldn't believe the atmosphere for that game. And I mean, I was watching it in a Turkish language, but it was just unbelievable. So I'd pick that game.
Now, I'm actually going to go back just because there's a player that's still at Newcastle United that was here when you were here. He's a central defender. He's Swiss, and he only cost around £3 million. How do you find Fabian?
I think he's unbelievable. I mean, I'm not just saying that because he's my mate. For me, he's like the ultra modern day defender. He can pass the ball. I mean, he hated pre-season running. He would moan so much in pre-season running, but you knew on a Saturday that you could rely on him with the ball. I mean, he's probably not the fastest centre back in the thing, but he reads the game so well, chucks his body on the line, and you can just. For me, I love someone that can pass the football. So he was a brilliant passer of the ball. Probably one of the worst golfers I've ever played with, but looks the part. But yeah, he's probably in terms of value for money, he's up there with probably the best value for money in Newcastle ever paid for a player.
Yeah. Now, I know when Eddie came in, that was towards the end of your time at Newcastle. But how did you find working with Eddie?
I loved it. He's I've not got a bad word to say about Eddie and his coaching staff. He was always brilliant with me. The level of detail that he puts into these training sessions and like lives and breathes football. It was a pleasure to work with him on the training ground, and he's one of them that you could just pick up the phone to, and if you ever had a problem or you was going down that coaching route and was looking for advice or anything like that, he's one of them that would just give you any time of the day. And yeah, I mean, I still see him when I'm driving about in the city. I've not got a bad word to say about it. I was so happy for him personally that when they won the Carling Cup, or the Carabao Cup as it's called, and the things that he's doing, and I think the way he comes across in the media in terms of how classy he comes across, is like, that's not an act. He's like that in general, if you know what I mean. But then as soon as he goes across that white line, like the level of detail and what he wants from you in that role, he makes it so clear and makes it so easy for you, and like you just run for a brick wall for him.
Do you think that there's part of it, probably because of the club that he's at and obviously because he's English, do you think he's maybe overlooked at like how good a manager he is?
Yeah, I mean, would a Newcastle fan want him to get a Man United job, the Liverpool job? No, of course you wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want him to get them jobs. I mean, if I'm being honest, Newcastle the past 2 out of 3 years have had European football, and the highest European football you can get. So why would you want to leave when for me, this club can be that club that breaks into that bracket, if you like, of where they're going to be guaranteed that football every season. So me personally, as a manager where he's loved, I wouldn't leave. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for Eddie. Do you know what I mean? He might have different aspirations or whatever. But for me, like, why would you leave? Why would you leave
Yeah.
that? Do you know what I mean? And in terms of teams in England, like, there's not many better that bring 52,000 fans every weekend, and even for a Carabao Cup game against a team in League Two, there's 52,000 fans here. So why would you want to leave that? I mean, for me, would the only job that come up that would probably entice him to leave would maybe the England job, but I don't see how he'd cope in terms of playing international football, and because you're not working with your players day in day out, and Eddie's a day in day out guy. Do you know what I mean? Where he probably takes a football to bed with him because that's how much he loves football. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, Eddie and Newcastle are just such a perfect fit.
Now, obviously, you mentioned Eddie, and you can't mention Eddie without mentioning his sidekick in Jason Tindall. Obviously, the Newcastle fans have given him the name Mad Dog. Obviously, you worked with him. Does he fit that nickname?
Nah, he's a chocolate bar, isn't he? He'd eat himself if he could. Jace he's just a lovely man. I mean, I've probably does it like getting on the cameras and things like that just for a bit of crack, but I think him and Eddie are just like such a perfect fit as well. But I've not got a bad word to say about any of them. They've always looked out for me. I mean, I see another assistant in Tinners the other day in Tesco's, and he just said to me, like, if you need anything, just don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call. And all of them have been like that with me. So no, I've not got a bad word to say about Jace. He knows football, and let me tell you, that group that come from Bournemouth, they didn't have it easy at Bournemouth. They kept that club afloat in terms of trying to collect money in buckets and things like that to get that club back to where it is now. So people probably don't know that side of it, and so they've worked their nuts off to get where they are, and they deserve every single bit of credit and praise that they're getting.
Now, looking at it, now there's two things. Does JT either have a season ticket to a tanning shop, or has he made Eddie Howe get a tanning bed?
No, he's got an unbelievable tan. I mean, I don't know how he keeps it up because the weather here is not the best in the winter months. But whether he's got a 12-minute holiday in his living room, I don't know. But he's got an unbelievable tan. But he's just an all-round great guy. Do you know what I mean? He's someone that you probably need in the dressing room in terms of being amongst the lads and things like that. So yeah, he's spot on.
Now I'm going to give you. Obviously, you've got the team that we've got at the minute. You've got the midfield. If you were to put yourself in that midfield, who would you be replacing?
I mean, now no one at the minute because I'm injured and can't play.
Let's say in your prime, who?
I don't know because I started as a midfielder that would go box to box. Do I think that I'd probably offer something different in terms of what I could bring to a team than whoever plays in there or whoever's available at Newcastle at the moment? Yeah, in terms of passing. But they don't need me. They're doing all right, and I think each one of them who plays, I mean, generally it's Tonali, Bruno, and Joey, and Joey brings the brute force. I think Tindall is an exceptional player at reading the game. I think what he does very well is intercepting the ball in that sixth position, and then he drives forward as well. And I think that's a good, very, very good trait to have. And Bruno's obviously, he can take the ball in tight spaces and come out of it and slot them through balls and things like that. So I think they've got what they need to be a top team.
Is there a Newcastle player in the current squad that you look at and go, yeah, I would love to be playing with him?
Not probably one that I'd have liked to played with, because of, I think it would have helped suit my game, would be Anthony Alanga. In terms of I probably wouldn't even have to look and just kick it in behind and he would just still get it. I mean, if I'd have had the pace he's got, then Jesus. But I just think it's a real exciting team. And obviously the squad's getting younger and younger, and I think you probably need that in the Premier League to compete in every match, in every game, and in all competitions. And I think they'll do something special this year. I mean, they've not started unbelievably well, but I mean, there's been a lot going on behind the scenes. So hopefully it's all put past now and the wind is shut and everyone can get on with their job.
Now, obviously, we've talked about your career. We've talked, you've had your time at Turkey. Obviously, you came back to Burnley, and that. Obviously, now you're a free agent. Obviously, and you're getting back. What's in your mind? Do you have do you want to play for a few more years, or are you looking at going into the coaching side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing my A license at the moment. That is something that I do want to do later down the line. Is be a manager. But I do still feel like I can play for a couple more years. I mean, not at the level that I'm used to. But yeah, the big thing for me is I want to play because I've got a 4-year-old little boy, and he wasn't around when I was playing in front of that many people. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, he come and watched in Turkey a few times and at Burnley, but I want him to remember me as a footballer rather than someone that sits indoors every day doing nothing. I mean, so yeah, I still feel like I can play for a couple more years, and whether that be League One, League Two, or whatever. And I love football. I love waking up on a match day, and I love waking up every day in the mornings and going to training and having a graft in the mornings and getting a sweat on. I love it, and I love studying the game, and I just love football. So yeah, it's still something that I plan to do.
So maybe in 10, 20 years, you'll be back here in the dugout as Newcastle manager then.
Maybe, you never know. It's a long way to go then if I'm not dead yet.
No, well, obviously, we'll say thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure to chat with you, and obviously we'll wish you all the best in
it's been a pleasure.
for your
Thank
career.
you for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.